Hello, my name is Helen Parker, and I am a 72-year-old woman living in Naperville, Illinois. I worked in a public school cafeteria for 30 years and raised a son on my own. Because I could endure it no longer, I decided to turn the final page of my life story with my own hands. Truthfully, I was once an ordinary grandmother. I lived with my son Michael's family and was happy, or rather, I deluded myself into thinking I was happy. My days were like the gears of a clock, always the same. I'd wake at 5:30 a.m. without an alarm. First, I would carefully pack lunches for my grandchildren, then prepare breakfast, run the laundry, and clean every corner of the house. After that, I would work part-time as a cashier at the local grocery store until 5 p.m., only to return home and start preparing dinner for my family. Every single day felt like a battle. In the beginning, whenever my grandchildren would throw their arms around me and shout, "Thank you, Grandma," my heart would swell with pride. I am truly essential to this family. My existence is so precious as I believed. But at some point, everything began to change. The way my daughter-in-law, Jessica, looked at me, the tone she used when speaking to me, grew cold, as if she were addressing an employee. "Mother, have you finished cleaning? My book club friends are coming over today. Mother, please have dinner ready at exactly 6 o'clock. The children have to get to their lessons." Exactly 6 o'clock. It meant not a minute later. "Mother, please wash my laundry separately." It would be a problem if it mixed with our clothes. When I heard those words, a lump formed in my throat. We lived in the same house, yet our laundry had to be separate. I would often wonder, am I truly a part of this family? If I turned on the TV for a brief moment of rest, I'd hear, "Mother, it's too loud for this early in the morning. Please turn the volume down." Ooh, so annoying. They called me noisy when I had been bustling about for the family since dawn and was only taking a moment's rest. It was then I realized, I am not a welcome presence in this house. It was as if I were an unpaid nanny and housekeeper. No, even someone who gets paid wouldn't be treated so poorly. At least they receive a salary, have set working hours, and get days off. What was more heartbreaking occurred one day when I was in bed, burning with a high fever from the flu. "Mother, I know you're sick, but what are your plans for dinner? Can you at least make something simple for the kids?" I was suffering from a 102-degree fever, struggling even to breathe, yet her concern was not for my health, but for dinner. In that moment, tears welled up in my eyes. Am I even being treated like a human being in this house? The arthritis in my knees, which had tormented me for years from standing at work, had become unbearable. After 30 years of working on my feet from dawn until dusk, carrying heavy laundry baskets and cleaning supplies, my knees were completely worn out. Eventually, a doctor told me I needed surgery. "Michael, your mother needs to have surgery." "Surgery? How long will you be in the hospital?" "About a week." What my son Michael said next is still vivid in my memory. "Then, what are we going to do about the chores in the meantime?" It felt as though I'd been struck in the head with a hammer. I needed surgery, and his first concern was the housework. My health, my safety, my very life, all of it was an afterthought. On the day of the surgery, I went to the hospital alone. As I waited in front of the operating room after changing into a surgical gown, a nurse asked with a look of pity, "Ma'am, isn't a guardian coming with you? Someone really should be by your side when you wake up." They were busy, so they couldn't make it. "It's all right. I can manage on my own," I said, though my throat was tight. It was painful to have to endure the scariest moment of my 72 years of life all by myself. The grandmother in the next bed was surrounded by her son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren. Her whole family rushed to her side, asking, "Mom, are you okay?" I, on the other hand, woke up from the anesthesia to an empty hospital room. There was no one to ask for a sip of water, no one to hold my hand. Staring at the white ceiling, the thought that I am truly alone in this world brought tears streaming down my face. It was the same when I was discharged. Barely able to walk from the pain in my knee, I took a taxi home alone. Do you know what the first thing my daughter-in-law Jessica said to me when she greeted me at the door? "Mother, did the surgery go well? We were so busy we couldn't even visit. By the way, will you be able to handle the housework starting tomorrow?" In that instant, I felt my heart shatter. It hadn't even been a day since my knee surgery, and her only concern was the chores. "Jessica, the doctor told me not to strain myself for a month." Then what are we supposed to do for a month? Should we hire someone? That will cost a lot of money. Was the cost of hiring help so much more important than her mother-in-law's surgery? Hearing those words, I realized with painful clarity, I truly was just a free housekeeper in this house. The final straw was when I happened to overhear a conversation between my son and daughter-in-law. "Honey, I feel like our lives are so restricted because of your mother. I can't invite my friends over freely, and we have to be discreet about going out to eat. I guess it is a bit like that. Honestly, we'd be so much freer without her. What about a nursing home? I hear there are many good ones these days." In that moment, my legs gave out, and I had to lean against the wall to support myself. My presence was an obstacle to their freedom. After dedicating everything I had to this family for 20 years, I was nothing more than a burden. It was the very next week. My son Michael approached me with a bright expression. "Mom, we're planning a trip to Disney World in Florida." "For about 4 days?" I asked, holding on to one last sliver of hope. "Am I going with you? You should rest comfortably at home, Mom." "We're going on a family trip." Family trip. Those 2 words pierced my heart like a dagger. Did that mean I wasn't family? After living together for 20 years, was I still not considered family? In that moment, I felt something inside me snap. "Fine. You treat me like a housekeeper and plan to send me to a nursing home? Then I'll be the one to leave this house first." On the day my son's family left for Florida, as I watched their backs disappear beyond the front door, I made a silent vow. That's it. I've endured enough. For 72 years, I've lived only for others as someone's mother, someone's grandmother. From now on, I will live as Helen Parker. When I opened the refrigerator, there was nothing I liked to eat. It was filled only with organic juices and yogurts for the children. My room was the smallest and darkest in the house. Even on the living room sofa, my spot was designated the very end with the uncomfortable backrest. It suddenly occurred to me. This house is my house. I bought it with the money I earned working in a school cafeteria for 30 years. Why am I living so timidly? And so, I made my decision. Fine. If you're going to treat me like a maid and send me to a nursing home, I'll become independent first. The next morning, I gathered my courage and called a real estate agent. My hands trembled, but my heart was firm. "Hello. I'd like to sell my house." I want to put it on the market for a quick sale." Fortunately, on the third day, a newlywed couple viewed the house, loved it, and made an offer immediately. After receiving the down payment, I quietly began preparing to move. I called my old friend, Susan, and told her everything. She immediately supported my decision and helped me find listings for small houses in a coastal town in Oregon. The thought of living there, listening to the ocean, filled me with a sense of excitement for the first time in a long while. On the fourth day, my son's family returned from their trip. "Mother, what are all these boxes? Why is the house so empty?" This was it. The moment I had been waiting for. I packed. I'm moving. Moving? Where? To Oregon. The moving truck is coming tomorrow morning. My son and daughter-in-law's faces turned pale. "Mother, what are you talking about?" So suddenly, while we were away. "What do you mean? What am I talking about?" "I sold this house." "What? You sold the house? What are we supposed to do?" "Figure it out yourselves. Just like you made me do all this time. You said you wanted an independent life, didn't you? Well, now you can truly be independent. When did we ever ask you to leave? You didn't. But what about sending me to a nursing home? Have you forgotten telling me to clean every day, to do your laundry separately, to serve dinner at exactly 6 o'clock? At that, they were both speechless. I continued. "And Michael, I bought this house with the money I earned working for 30 years in a school cafeteria. You two just moved in and lived here. Have you ever once paid for electricity, water, or utilities? Mom, we were grateful. Were you really? Then why did you treat me like a housekeeper? And what was that about a nursing home?" That's when I delivered the final blow. "I am moving out tomorrow morning. You two have until this Friday to pack your things. That's the day the new owners are scheduled to move in. What are we supposed to do? Where are we supposed to go? Why wouldn't you have a place to go? You all just enjoyed a nice family trip. Jessica, you have your parents' house, don't you? I'm starting over at 72. There's nothing you young people can't do." In that moment, it felt as if all the stress that had built up over so many years was released at once. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. My son, Michael, lowered his head. "Mom, we were wrong. Can't you reconsider? It's too late." Even then, a small part of me held out hope. But my son's next words solidified my resolve completely. "Then, what are you going to do with the money from the sale?" So that was it. His concern wasn't for me, but for the money. "It's my money, so I'll spend it as I see fit. I'll buy a small house in Oregon and live out the rest of my days comfortably with what's left." Then my daughter-in-law, Jessica, had one last thing to say. "Mother, you are so selfish." Selfish? That's a word I've never heard in my 72 years. After living my entire life for others, you call me selfish? Yes, you're right. From now on, I will live selfishly. I've lived for others for 72 years, so the time I have left, I will live for myself. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in a very long time. On moving day, my belongings consisted of a few old pieces of furniture and half a dozen boxes. It pained me to realize that in the 30 years I'd lived in that house, I had bought almost nothing for myself. The farewell was brief. "Mom, are you really leaving?" "Yes." That was all. In the car on the way to Oregon, I looked out the window. Green mountains rushed by, and the sky was vast and blue. The world is so wide. I've been trapped in such a small space for too long. My new house was small but cozy, and when I opened the window, the Pacific Ocean stretched out before me. The sound of the waves felt like a lullaby. Instead of the sounds of my daughter-in-law's sighs and my son's frustrations that had filled my nights, I could now fall asleep to this peaceful sound. About 3 months after I moved to Oregon, Michael showed up unannounced. He looked haggard. "Mom, we've been having a really hard time. We're staying at my mother-in-law's house, and it's so uncomfortable. I think I finally understand a little of how you must have felt. I'm glad you understand now, even if it's late." "Mom, have you considered coming back?" "No." "Then, could we move here and live with you?" Hearing that made me laugh. "Michael, do you still not understand? I like living alone now. I'm not taking care of anyone anymore. But you can come visit sometimes. And if you truly want to be a good son, then live well on your own. That's the greatest gift you could give me." I drew a clear line. At 72 years old, I had finally reclaimed my own name. It has now been 6 months since I moved to Oregon. I walk my dog on the beach every day, grow vegetables in a small garden, and chat with my elderly neighbors over tea. It's an ordinary, but truly happy life. A while ago, my grandchildren sent me a letter. They asked if they could visit during their summer vacation. I wrote back, "Grandma misses you too. But if you come to visit, you can only stay for a day. And you must come with your mom and dad. I will no longer be anyone's sacrifice." I look at the ocean every day and think, from now on, I will live as Helen Parker. Not as someone's mother or grandmother, but simply as Helen. You know, life is truly short. Too short to live only for others. What really matters is whether I am happy, whether I am living the life I want. This very moment can be the new starting point of your life. Thank you for listening to my story today.